And here now with more is South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham. I'm hearing, and reports are, that for this year at least, that Build Back Better, New Green Deal socialism is dead for this year. But that doesn't mean it's going away. I watched Manchin today, and he had to say that's total BS because Democrats have turned on him, and they're trying to make the case that he is trying to kill the child tax credit, which, by the way, is a lie. He's always been for the child tax credit. So now his own party has turned against him, and he's trying to look out for the energy sector, which is such a big part of the West Virginian economy.
Yeah, I think Build Back Better is dead forever, and let me tell you why. Because Joe Manchin has said he's not going to vote for a bill that will add to the deficit. Well, if you do away with the budget gimmicks, Build Back Better, according to the CBO, adds $3 trillion to the deficit. He doesn't want to vote for a bill that makes inflation worse. And one thing we haven't talked about tonight, but was mentioned today, the child care provisions in Build Back Better prohibit religious institutions from receiving money. So if you've got a child in a religious institution providing child care, you will not be eligible for money from the government because that child goes to a religious institution. It increases the wages of child care providers to the point that the average family will have to spend $13,000 more because this is a federal takeover of child care. It's declaring war on religious institutions. It's $5 trillion, not 1.75. It's an inflation bomb. And at the end of the day, Joe Manchin has promised the people of West Virginia, I will not vote for a bill that adds to the deficit that's full of gimmicks. So I think it's dead forever.
Well, OK, so now the question is, what do we do in the meantime? The Republicans, even much to my chagrin, as you know, allowed for the Democrats to raise the debt ceiling. I believe it comes up again next in February. So now Chuck Schumer is signaling he wants all of these radicals, including that FCC head, to get through and all these appointments to go through. Are Republicans going to support all those radicals on Joe's list?
Well, you know, the FDA director, Joe Manchin, won't support. Yeah, they got some pretty out there people that they want to put into the government. But let's slow down for a minute. The Build Back Better was the signature issue of the radical left. It died in the Senate because the CBO, which I do not control, I laugh when I hear Democrats say it's a fake number, the CBO number. It used to be the gold standard. I haven't hypnotized the CBO. They looked at the bill, Sean, as if all the programs like child tax credits go for 10 years, not 1 year, and they said it's $5 trillion. The child tax credit over 10 years is $1.6 trillion. So the bill is written in the Senate as a lie. The CBO exposed that lie, and when it comes to deficit spending, it adds $3 trillion to the deficit. The CBO and the inflation number last Friday, I think, killed Build Back Better. They were trying to pass a lie, and God bless Joe Manchin for sticking to his guns.
All right. I'm going to make predictions on foreign policy, and I hope I'm wrong on every one. Now, with the new news out of Afghanistan that we can't get anybody out now, my prediction is that every person Joe abandoned is stuck there, and many will die. My prediction is Putin will invade Ukraine. My prediction is there will be a conflict with Israel and Iran in the near future. And my last prediction is after the Olympics that China will, in fact, fulfill their territorial ambitions and they will take over Taiwan. Am I wrong? I hope I am.
Well, I hope you're wrong, but here's what I think. To be honest with you, you're probably more right than wrong. We've left so many people behind in Afghanistan that fought bravely along our side without a plan to get them out. Our friends in Israel are watching the Iranians getting ever closer to making a bomb, and they're going to have to act because one Holocaust is enough. When it comes to Russia, I'm going to introduce sanctions to hit Russia for the buildup, not the invasion. And if we don't get this right, Taiwan will be invaded by China. There's so much at risk in this world. Here's the good news. I think Build Back Better is dead. The path to socialism has been stopped, I think for the rest of this Congress. But pray for the people we left behind in Afghanistan and pray for our friends in Israel. I'm going to Israel on Christmas Day to let them know that I, along with many Republicans and some Democrats, has Israel's back. So I'm going to tell the Iranians, if you go,
you have their back.
If you try to
Wait a
cross
minute.
Israel's,
I have their back.
yeah.
Joe Biden, I don't believe, has their back.
Well, if Iran doesn't believe Joe Biden has Israel's back, there will be a war between Israel and Iran, because the Israelis are not going to allow a religious zealot, the Ayatollah of Iran, to have a nuclear weapon to destroy the Jewish state.
All right,
and
so
if Joe
my
Biden
four
doesn't up his
predictions.
game against Iran, we're in trouble.
We're not going to be able to save
I hope
many
you're wrong,
more,
but
if any, Americans in Afghanistan. Putin will invade Ukraine.
Right.
Iran and Israel are headed for a conflict that will happen. And post the 2022 Olympics, China's taken over Taiwan. I hope to God I'm wrong.
Well, the only thing that can change it is for Biden to change up his game when it comes to the Iranians, to let them know that we have red lines too. I'm going to go to Israel and find red lines for the United States and tell the Iranians, if you cross these lines, we will use military force. I'm not the commander-in-chief.
But by the way, there's ways to solve this.
The world is a dangerous place.
You know what? The first thing we ought to do is produce enough energy and supply our Western European allies. That'll bankrupt Putin. And then if China keeps showing that they have these territorial ambitions, I would stop importing their products, because their entire economy relies on imports. As it relates to the Iranians, I put sanctions back on them. There are things that Joe can do short of, obviously, I don't want America involved in any conflict, but have a safe trip to Israel. We'll get a report from you when you get back, sir. Thanks for being with us.